Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has explained the reason for the delay in the release of the Tabung Haji RCI report. Earlier, Rafizi had claimed that the release of the RCI report was delayed to avoid upsetting UMNO. Stay tuned for this and more on KiniNews. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said the government did not release the Royal Commission of Inquiry report on Tabung Haji 3 years ago to avoid triggering a loss of public confidence in the Pilgrims Fund Board. Speaking in Port Dickson today, he said releasing the reports at a time could have triggered panic among depositors, leading to a mass withdrawal of funds that might have destabilized TH.
Tapi orang kritik saya mengapa tak terbitkan laporan itu. Saya kata pada masa itu, 3 tahun yang lalu, tak mampu kita terbitkan. Kalau kita terbitkan, rakyat hilang keyakinan kepada tabung haji. Dia tarik dana tabung haji. Tabung haji sebagai badan akan lingkup. Tapi sejak 3 tahun yang lalu, pengurusannya bertukar. Pengurusinya sekarang Tan Sri Rashid Usid yang punya rekod pengurusannya cemerlang. Tabung haji dah mula bertapak. Tapi rakyat harus tahu.
Anwar also highlighted TH's recovery, noting that the institution had recently been recognized with the Best Hajj Management Award for this year's Hajj season. Yesterday, Anwar said the government was prepared to release the final RCI report on TH soon to allow the public to learn the findings of the inquiry into allegations involving the sale of its strategic assets. He added that he would consult the Chief Secretary to the government on whether the report needed to be referred to the cabinet first.
Still on the topic, yesterday, Rafizi Ramli accused Anwar of delaying the release of the RCI report to avoid upsetting UMNO. The Parti Bersama Malaysia co-leader said the report should have been released in 2023 when it was completed, as its findings contain matters of public interest that should be made available.
Sepatutnya laporan RCI tabung haji itu didedahkan seawal 2023 lagi apabila laporan itu mula-mula siap dan dibawa kepada kabinet. Tetapi pada ketika itu, Datuk Seri Anwar sangat berhati-hati untuk menjaga hati UMNO. Maka keputusan dibuat untuk menanam laporan itu. Hanya setelah saya bersuara untuk kesekalian kalinya, dan kali ini bersuara dari luar sebagai pengkritik, barulah dengan cepat keputusan hendak dibuat untuk mendedahkan laporan RCI tabung haji kepada orang ramai.
Rafizi, who was still part of Anwar's cabinet at the time, said the findings would shed light on the fund's governance failures. He also suggested the timing of the report's impending release was not coincidental, noting that he had raised the issue during a Johor state election campaign speech 2 weeks ago to illustrate how political compromises could ultimately backfire. On July 14, 2021, then Deputy Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced that the cabinet had agreed to establish an RCI to investigate TH. The inquiry was tasked with examining audit findings by several consultants, covering the period from 2014 to 2020.
Malaysia has once again formally reaffirmed to the United States government its long-standing policy of not recognizing Israel. Foreign Minister Mohamad Hasan stated that this was after Malaysia's ambassador to the U.S., Muhammad Shahrul Ikram Yaakob, was summoned by the U.S. State Department.
Mohamad said the ambassador explained Malaysia's position and informed the department that the policy was not new. He added that the matter was being handled appropriately by the Malaysian government. He stressed that it has always been Malaysia's policy and that the country's immigration policy does not recognize the State of Israel or the Zionist regime. He said an individual with dual US and Israeli citizenship had entered Malaysia using his US passport. However, subsequent checks revealed that he also held Israeli citizenship and the authorities asked him to leave. The summons by US officials followed an investigation by Malaysian authorities against Israeli citizens with dual nationalities who had been working at the tech startup Network School in Forest City, Johor.
From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us. Past President Abdul Hadi Awang said his party's past splits with UMNO were never about core principles. Instead, he said the disagreements were only differences of opinions over minor matters.
Itu biasa berlaku khilaf. Perselengkahan perkara cabang ke dasar. Ke dasar tak ada khilaf antara PAS dan UMNO. PAS berdasarkan Islam. UMNO berdasarkan Melayu. Melayu dengan Islam ni tak berbeza. Orang perangai Cina masuk Islam kata masuk Melayu. India masuk Melayu. Islam Melayu tu Islam. Kita berpalah pendekatan saja. Dasar tak berkali.
He said this when asked about his party's previous split with UMNO. Hadi also rejected claims that cooperation between PAS-led Perikatan Nasional and BN in the Negeri Sembilan election is merely political drama. He stressed that the alliance is not an act and all coalitions involved had spent money to ensure its success.
Bukan wayang, kita habis duit. Orang PAS pergi belanja sendiri. Penuh tenaga, termasuklah orang UMNO juga habis duit. Wayang apa tu?
Earlier, DAP Deputy Secretary General Hena Yaw compared the cooperation between Barisan Nasional and Perikatan Nasional to the Titanic. She claimed the alliance would eventually collapse because of a lack of political loyalty.
In a post on Facebook, Yaw said the partnership is overshadowed by betrayal and a lack of loyalty among those involved. She claimed leaders within both coalitions are pursuing their own ambitions, including becoming Prime Minister. According to Yaw, those personal ambitions would eventually outweigh loyalty to their political partners and they would put their personal interests above them. Yaw contrasted this with Harapan's cooperation between PKR, Amanah, and DAP. She pointed out that the three parties remained loyal in supporting Anwar Ibrahim until he became Prime Minister. She argued that retaining Harapan representatives would show support for those values of political loyalty and friendship which she said was not present in other political partnerships. She urged voters to continue supporting the coalition to maintain a government and leaders committed to those values.
The U.S. has imposed new import tariffs on 60 countries, including Malaysia. The new 10% tariff took effect today as part of the latest round of U.S. trade measures.
According to the Office of the United States Trade Representative, USTR, the tariffs target trading partners that have failed to impose and effectively enforce bans on imports made with forced labor. The agency said the action was taken at the direction of President Donald Trump under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. Besides Malaysia, countries subject to the 10% tariff include Argentina, Cambodia, Canada, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Jordan, and the United Kingdom. However, some products will be exempt. According to the USTR, the exemptions are intended to encourage countries to strengthen and enforce prohibitions on imports made with forced labor. Reuters reported that the new tariffs may be part of the Trump administration's strategy to work around a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that struck down an earlier round of tariffs. In response to that decision in February, Trump imposed a global 10% tariff for 150 days, which expires today.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.